Okay, so I'm going to uh, open an indicator here and open our indicator panel and take a look at what we got here now. So on this chart we have the Grail, the Classic Tools, and the Drummond axe. The only thing I'm running is Grail at the moment. The Classic Tools we have on, but they're turned off, right? They're made not visible, and the same thing with the axe. Up here we'll see that we have the Holy Grail, we have an overlay Grail, we have the axe GPS, the GPS 2. All of these things we'll get into eventually, but in order to build our understanding step by step, we're just going to talk about the Holy Grail now. Okay, so let's take a look at these plots, because naturally these can get quite confusing. Okay, I've been fiddling with the colors of these so I can demonstrate how they're assigned, because it's a little bit odd. Okay, so the vertical line's thickness is pretty straightforward. We make that big and fat and apply that. You can see it changes these lines on the top and the bottom to nice thick lines. So we can change that back to, we'll set it at 3. Okay, the R color tomato and the S color refer to the color of these lines, the oncoming lines. Okay, so you see the S color I set to dark, and there we have the darker color down there. We have, okay, then we have our color upper and our color R1. We have a little dog problem here at the front door. Okay, we got the doggies settled down. They take their responsibility as guardians of the mansion very seriously. So, okay, now so we were talking about the color assignments. Okay, our color upper, our color lower, R1, R2. That refers R1 and R2 refer to the top and bottom. Okay, so you see R2 is the color on top, and R1 we've left. Okay. S1, S color is the line, S1, S2, so forth, refer to the top and bottom ticks. Let's see, outline color. Now, you'll find that when we are able to set the size of these things, and when we set them big, then we can have an outline color, so we can have a 2-color dot and so forth. The outline color would be set by this line, this function here. Okay, then we have the tick line. The tick lines, what's that? Okay, this is going to refer to the airbags, and I guess I have to take off my pointer in order to change that. So we'll change that to 4, and you'll see it. Pardon me. Tick lines refers to the size of these ticks at the top and bottom. Okay. The airbag thickness refers to the airbag. Okay, so if you change that to 6, we'll see that change. Okay, then we have airbag color, which is lime at the moment. For some reason, I keep that in lime. By the way, the airbag is also called the spike, and I like to call it the spike because I have a spike trade that I like very much. I'll talk to you about one of these days soon. Okay, so we're gonna set this back to 3. The center. The center, remember, is this thing that's halfway between the bottom and the top tick, and the center then is set for blue. Now you see it right there. You can make that larger or smaller, and so forth and so on. Okay, inputs. All this other inputs here are pretty much the way NinjaTrader handles things. It's standard in all of the indicators. So this is a 60-minute chart, calculating each tick and so forth and so on. Important, the displacement is 0. We see it in the future, but this is by design, so keep this at 0. Panel. Okay, now we go down to the bottom, and we have plots. Okay, now at this point you know that R2 and R1 refer to these things up in the top. Maybe a pointer would help. R2 and R1 refer to these guys up here, 1 and 2. And we can set this to be set for transparent at the moment, but it can be set to be different size. So let's do that and show you how that happens. So R2, we'll change that. R2, we can pick a color for demonstration. Let's make it lavender, for whatever that means. And then we'll set the style for gargantuan so that we can see it dramatically, and we'll say it's a dot and so forth. So we apply, and there it is. We see it behind the tick. Okay, if we make it green, we'll see a very dramatic thing. Okay, you see, now you can see it. Okay, so that goes down here. R1, R2, S1, S2 refer to these things down here. There's no airbag top. Let's see what happens here. Let's make it blue velvet for whatever reason. And we'll make it, again, large so you can see what happens. So it flags the airbag top. Okay. And the center also, we'll make it blue violet, and just for demonstration purposes so you can see what's going on here. We'll make it gargantuan. Okay, there's the blue dot. There's the center, the blue dot. Okay, so now you have an idea of what these tools are and how to configure them. Let's take a look at a chart where they're set up and active and doing their jobs and so forth. We have another chart here that might be helpful. Let's look at this guy. Okay, so what we have here is a 10,000 volume chart for the E-mini. It's live. And so first of all, you see that the EOTM is going on the outside. Things we like to watch here, there's a lot to EOTM that you'll learn about, but for the moment, we like to look at ducks in a row. This is resistance that's pretty hard to change. Resistance is pretty hard to change. The direction and movement of the center. Remember we talked about the center. Let's get a pointer here. We talked about the center as being halfway between here and there, because this is a center. Okay, that is indication of switching sides. See, when the market switches sides, it's like it's going down. Could be helpful. Okay, now when you see the market moving up, the support lines will step up, step up, step up, step up. When they start going in a row, that means that the support is getting firm and you don't think it's going to exceed that. The same thing with the market on top. When we see things lining up, and that's in the future, of course, this is a future bar. When we see things lining up like that, it's we call it ducks in a row, and it means that that looks like potentially serious resistance, and we look for turnaround. Now, what else do we look for in a turnaround? Well, this refers to the spike trade. I'll come back to you. The spikes you see is the consensus of where things might be, the majority of activity in the market. Okay, the consensus is moving up, and then it's moving sideways, and then it's moving up, and it moves up, and then it fails. Okay, this is an interesting signal for us. When the spikes move and the spikes shift direction. So you can actually go short here at the beginning of this bar because the spike is changed down. Okay, so and you've also seen the center switch direction, and you know, in the energy bands or the yellow road here, whatever we have. I guess we have the yellow road. you'll see resistance holding, and we're also in some blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of reasons to go short here, and short we would be. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about uh, spikes and about the EODM indicator itself at the moment, but at least you'll have some clue as to how to organize this and set it up. There's one more thing. Let me mention one more thing. You'll see on some of our more complex charts that it looks like we go crazy with the indicators. We put a lot of indicators on here. Like, for example, here's two holy grails. Why would we put two holy grails on? Okay, well, you look and you see, well, they're both visible, so it's not like we turned one off. So what's going on here? Well, you'll see that we do that to get bigger and more finely tuned control over the color and so forth. So this spike, for example, actually has two layers. If we take one of these off, these EODMs, take one of those EODMs and turn it off and apply, you'll see how that spike changes, right? So let's turn it back on and apply that. We'll take the top one, we'll turn that off, and you'll see that the other color changes. So basically what we've done is to layer these things and to get greater control over the visual display so that it's easy to see and easy to follow. So, okay, so, but for now, the spikes are very useful. Remember, it's the consensus idea of where people think the center of the market is going to be. The dots up on top, the consensus of opinion of where people think resistance and support will be. If they all go along here, there's a stronger signal than if they're rising like that, okay, or if they're falling in case of resistance. Okay, that's it for this video. We'll get back and talk about some of the variants and uses of EODM and the way we've started to manipulate these tools in order to get some signals, and we'll do that in the next video.